It's springtime in Madison, the sun shining, the flowers blooming, and the Radicals rising again. Tonight, the Madison Radicals hope to win their 18th straight game at home. But the Pittsburgh Thunderbirds ready to change the way people think about the Midwest Division. Another AUDL Saturday Showcase starts now. Sometimes in early May in Wisconsin, there's snow everywhere, but not today. You could not ask for a more magnificent evening for Ultimate. Two undefeated teams go head-to-head as Pittsburgh and Madison meet for the first time in the AUDL. Hi everybody, so great to have you with us. I'm Evan Lepler alongside Chuck Kindred, and we've got a great game tonight. In this Midwest Division, coming into the season, you thought it'd be Chicago, Indy, and these two teams, well, there are only two undefeated teams in the division left. The two are watching tonight.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh looks very good, very confident. These are two cities that have a successful pedigree of Ultimate players. They've got successful college programs, club teams, and I think both these teams are ready to roll tonight. And
in the Midwest Division last night, Chicago suffered a loss to Indianapolis, so these are the two remaining undefeated teams, and if Pittsburgh's going to win this game, they'll be relying on Tyler DiGirolamo. He undoubtedly is their #1 game changer and might be the best young player in the sport. What do you think?
Yeah, he's so exciting to watch. We watched him in college nationals just handle guys like Dylan Freechild so easily going deep. He's very aggressive, very competitive. He loves to get the disc in the end zone.
Tyler DiGirolamo, a two-time college champion, the leader of the Thunderbirds. On the other side, Madison's defense will be without Peter Graffi, who led the league in Ds last year. But they do have Andrew Mechanix. He's got 9 Ds in just a few games this season, one of their leaders in that unique zone D.
Yeah, he's a guy that Tim DeBile, one of the owners, talks about as just an incredible talent. He gets better every year. He's only 25. I mean, he's still picking up the basic skills, and you see the amount of the blocks and the Ds, the problems he causes for other teams. It's really fun to watch.
Andrew Mechanix, now 25 years old, as you said. He'll lead the Madison defense tonight. There's some breeze, as you can tell, but it's a beautiful night for Ultimate. The first ever meeting between the Thunderbirds and the Radicals. Only one of these teams will still be undefeated when the night is over. Stick around, opening poll coming up next. If you want to follow the AUDL on your phone, now you can. Download the brand new AUDL app on your mobile device and get up-to-the-minute news on your favorite Pro Ultimate team. This is your new home for live scoring, up-to-date standings, game recaps, highlight videos, and more. It's the new best way to follow Ultimate at the highest level. Don't miss any of the thrilling hucks, towering skies, or monstrous layout Ds. Check out the free AUDL app today.
We're going to teach your kids about sportsmanship, spirit of the game. We're going to teach our kids conflict resolution. They're going to have a great time. They're going to get an amazing message about cancer. It's not a death sentence. It's not something you need to be scared of. It's something that you need to have a winning attitude towards, like an opponent on a field.
The AUDL has brought a lot of professionalism to Eric. The players are all big role models. They're perfect Eric ambassadors. They teach the game. They love kids. Kids love them. It's just a great combination.
Go Team Eric!
We are Team Eric!
What a magnificent night for Ultimate here at Breeze Stevens Field. Hi again, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us for week 4 of our AUDL Saturday Showcase, and we've got a great game for you tonight. Madison and Pittsburgh meeting for the first time ever. A lot of big names on both these teams, and the big storyline coming into this one, Pittsburgh's offense. They've only been broken twice in their first 2 games all year, and then Madison's defense talked about as one of the stingiest in the entire league.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Madison can contain that deep strike. A lot of times Pittsburgh's able to just get a couple quick passes and hit the end zone quick. And Madison's known to just kind of junk up people's offensive looks, make it hard for them to swing the disc, get good deep looks, and challenge in the air. They got some really nice height in Pittsburgh.
The Thunderbirds were all up early this morning. A long bus ride from western Pennsylvania. They have arrived and are fired up for their first ever meeting against the Radicals. We're underway. The Thunderbirds are on defense in the opening point in the white. And it'll be star handler Andrew Brown picking up the disc.
He's only thrown one incompletion, Brown, in his first few games this year. Now, both these teams have beaten Indianapolis and Cincinnati. Madison with an extra game against Detroit. The Radicals 3-0, the Thunderbirds 2-0. This is Pat Schreiwise with a disc. You'll be seeing him more on defense today than you might typically with no Peter Graffi. Tom Annan throws it away. It's his 2015 Radicals debut. Annan did not play in the first 3 games and a mistake early.
Yeah, nice pressure, especially as the end zone came creeping up on the offensive side of the disc. There wasn't a lot to look at. Great containment downfield, good switches. Nice job by Pittsburgh.
Now, how successful will Pittsburgh's defensive line be at converting break opportunities? One of the key storylines of this game. That throw popped up, and it floats into the hands of Mike Pannoni, but a travel was called back on the release, so it will be Madison disc in the red zone. It's a heck of a grab by Pannoni. Didn't count, though. So Brown picks up.
Wow, Riggles was wide open on the break side there.
Stall count rising, and there's a stall called on Madison. So you don't see the Radicals offense get broken, turn it over that much. And a Madison player went down on the field. That is Thomas Coolidge, who's holding his left wrist.
Was that on the point block?
Now grabbing his shoulder. Coolidge will be replaced by Brian Hart.
Someone had a heck of a point block on a high backhand huck. That might have hurt his wrist, I'm not sure.
So Madison now, after 2 turnovers, still has a chance to hold serve on this opening point. This is Riggles, the giant for the Madison offense. Riggles has led the Radicals in assists so far this year. Jaden Scullion and Andrew Brown play catch. Scullion to the break side for the score. Madison turns it over twice, but able to convert the game's opening point. It took over 2 minutes, though.
Yeah, great pressure defense from Pittsburgh. Until the very end there, they were able to really stop some of those IO lanes that Madison loves to throw to. Guys like Andrew Brown, Pat Schreiwise, they have great tight IO flicks. And there were a couple of wide open looks. They couldn't hit them, though. The marks held on Pittsburgh. The only way they were able to get around to the break side was by dumping and swinging it around the old-fashioned way.
Dave Wiseman catches the first score for the Radicals. Madison coached by Tim DeBile, who has owned this team since its inception here in Madison. And the innovative zone defense has been his baby. And we'll probably see it right here. Pat Schreiwise, after playing that long 2+ minute point, he's out there playing defense, and he'll be the deep in the zone. It's Weber and Mechanix double teaming on the mark. And you know, Pittsburgh knew what was coming. That doesn't mean you're prepared to handle it.
No, it really doesn't. You don't get very many good looks. You can see even just the pressure causes these mental errors. You know, easy throw, misexecuted. Let's see if Madison can capitalize here.
Isaac Saul's throw intended for Jonathan Mast, but Madison with a chance for the break. Worth mentioning, Pittsburgh is without Alex Thorne, arguably their top handler the first couple games of the season. Schreiwise launches the hammer, and it's Weber reaching around Jonathan Mast. What a play! You gotta be kidding me.
And the bearded giant gets in there early, gets up high and just made that look easy. I mean, it looked like a big old bear attacking a poor innocent civilian.
And that's exactly what it was, because he is a big old bear, and Jonathan Mast was an innocent civilian.
The poor guy had no idea, just had no clue what was about to happen.
Stall count rising. Schreiwise had to take that shot. He picks up the assist. Looked like Andrew Mechanix had it sized up pretty good too, number 2.
Yeah, these two guys are the two guys in the zone that are right on the mark, causing all kinds of problems. They use their size so well. They cause trouble even going over the top in the zone. You can see there on the turn, they can go up and catch a hammer if needs be.
Pat Schreiwise gets his first rest, and Madison brings Mike Swain onto the field. He'll get the task of guarding Tyler DiGirolamo. Pittsburgh shoots it deep, and Kevin Brown comes up with a D, but it looks like pass interference was called downfield. Referees for this game, Dan Lorela, Todd Eisenberg, John Thibodeau, and Jeff Maxstad, with Dan Rubenstein, the fifth official in the booth.
Yeah, the disc was a little underthrown. Kevin Brown put a little body on him as the receiver was coming back to make the catch.
Aaron Watson picks up the disc, one of the many former Pittsburgh stars, University of Pittsburgh stars, who are on the Thunderbirds in their first season. This is Chris Brennenborg, hits DiGirolamo, who picks up the assist, and Pittsburgh gets a much-needed first point.
Yeah, that really helps. They're on the road. They need to know that they can score against this team. They get the disc back there, break the mark a couple times, get the goal. That's a nice point for the Thunderbirds.
Pittsburgh, coached by David Hogan, played at University of Pittsburgh as well, has been an assistant coach on their very successful teams at the university. And that's DiGirolamo to Watson.
Yeah, Evan, how do you explain Pittsburgh becoming such a force in Ultimate over the last 10 years? I mean, 10 years ago they didn't even exist. Now they're a perennial powerhouse.
Well, they've existed for a little longer than 10 years, I'll say. I played against them when I'm in college, never beat them, so they were pretty good back then. I think they really elevated to a different level, you know, with the system that they've created. And Nick Kazmarek, who's another member of the Thunderbirds, not here today because Pittsburgh's getting ready for college nationals. I mean, he's as big a reason as any on just the system that they've created, the culture, and they've gotten a lot of great players. The Thorns, DiGirolamo, Watson, you know, guys like Marcus Renai Dropcho and Pat Earls are two guys that are going to be playing for the Thunderbirds after college nationals as Tom Annan lets it fly. Good to see Thomas Coolidge back on the field, and he tracks it down about 5 yards from the end zone. Try-wise hits Andrew Brown. And Brown hits the cutter to the open side. It's Jaden Scullion. 3-1 Radicals. To add to the point, though, Chuck, about Pittsburgh, you can't fail to mention the youth scene that they've created, because a lot of the top players who have played for the University of Pittsburgh have come through the Pittsburgh youth scene, middle schools, high schools, and it's that dynamic that has created somewhat of a feeder system to the University of Pittsburgh, and it's what's enabled the Thunderbirds to be as good as they've been early in the AUDL.
Yeah, you can see this deep shot here from Tom Annan. Real nice touch. The wind is kind of kicking right to left on your screen there, and he's able to keep the edge on that disc. You know, I'm from a little town outside of Pittsburgh called Greensburg. I wish there would have been a program like that going when I was a kid, because I got stuck playing sports like basketball and football. What a waste.
What position did you play in football?
Whatever. I think I was a tight end.
You sound like a backup tight end to me.
Whatever. I was waiting to find my real sport.
So without Alex Thorne, Jonathan Mast and Chris Brennenborg join Isaac Saul as the handler crew.
Gosh, and look at the trouble that these two guys cause on the mark. Nice choice for him to get it away from the two big guys. Don't let the zone set. I mean, that's the best way to stop one of these zone Ds, is never let it really form around you.
DiGirolamo on the brink. Saul double teamed. In tight quarters.
Yeah, so hard to go over the top with these guys and their height.
One of the points that David Hogan made to me in terms of Pittsburgh's assimilation into the AUDL as the score goes Brennenborg to Vats is the fact that Pittsburgh as a university has embraced using the width of the field. So with the field being even wider, they're used to playing a system. They have just more space to work with. They've taken advantage of that against Indianapolis and Cincinnati, but obviously this Madison defense just creating some headaches for them early.
Yeah, you can see the kind of patience these guys need just to move the disc a couple yards. Your stall count's only at 7, and it's not an audible count. So a lot of times you get nervous, you start moving the disc, you want to throw it over the top, and you make a careless error. Nice job by the Pittsburgh handlers to just keep possession of the disc, take what they're giving you, keep it moving, don't let these big guys settle around you, and eventually punch it in for the score.
Madison still up a break, nearing the midway point of the quarter, and Mark Fedorenko, one of Pittsburgh's better defenders, with the pull off the hands of Benji Karen. And now it's Brown for Brian Hart.
Benji Karen coaches the UW Milwaukee team. Get to see him put a couple good things together this year with those guys.
Here's Riggles. Pittsburgh doing a nice job in terms of downfield defense. So far, nothing really opening up. Andrew Brown taking off from the handler spot. He's being matched up by Mark Ritz. And now a launch. Looking for Riggles near the pylon. And it's defended well by Fedorenko.
Real nice pursuit there by Fedorenko. He made Riggles kind of toe the line and took advantage of the fact that he's on D and doesn't need to be in bounds to make his play. Real athletic defense.
Riggles had to gauge exactly where he was on the field. He couldn't attack it because he was running out of space, and Fedorenko reads it well. So Pittsburgh takes a timeout. They'll bring the offense back on the field, trying to tie this thing up. First quarter action, Midwest Division, AUDL Saturday Showcase on ESPN3. Pittsburgh needs to go the length of the field. Isaac Saul will pick up the disc. Isaac had a little bit of a better deal than many of his Pittsburgh teammates. The majority of the Thunderbirds left on a coach bus around 6 a.m. this morning. And Saul shoots one long, looking for the giant Ethan Beardsley, and it's just out of his reach. A stutter step in pursuit may have cost him a chance there.
So hard to read those when they're tailing away from you over your shoulder like that. It's difficult because if you go too far to your left, you can let the defender get in and make the play.
It's been Beardsley and not DiGirolamo, as you might have expected, to lead this Thunderbirds team in goals scored so far this year. Contact on the mark, and Madison will advance 10 yards. The Thunderbirds actually had 11 of their 20 players, along with the coach and the GM and a couple other folks, get on a bus around 6 a.m. They picked up 6 guys in Ohio.
Just random guys or?
Members of the team.
Oh, that's good. Swain under some pressure here, not sure where to go with it.
Swain just shoots it to space. That's not going to work out for Madison. And they picked up Isaac Saul in a parking lot outside of a Best Buy in Chicago. Isaac lives and works in New York City. He flew to Chicago and got picked up there. Took an Uber to the Best Buy.
That's pretty funny.
Checked out the newest line of headphones, and there's great defensive pressure near the end zone. Adam Drews forced the D, and the goal scored by Kevin Pettit-Scantling, one of the rising stars in this league. It's 4-2 Radicals.
This has been a defensive battle. Both teams are playing great man D. There is some wind and it's swirling. I think that's part of the reason you're seeing a couple of these miscues on offense, but just great pursuit and constant pressure. As a thrower, you never quite know because the athleticism downfield on both sides of the disc is really next level with these two teams.
How about this D here from Drews?
Yeah, just goes up and makes it hard, kind of like what Federico did with Riggles. Just force him to commit to a play, make it hard for him to take an easy catch, and that'll do it.
The delight of the Radicals fans. There's a great crowd that has turned out here. The second home game of the season for Madison. The Radicals looking for their 18th consecutive home win. This is just the second time they've played here at Breese Stevens when the field has been turf. Last year it was real grass, but in August they replaced the grass with this artificial turf. I think most Ultimate players would prefer to play on actual grass, but it is nice brand new turf down in the field.
Yeah, this is a historic soccer stadium, just stone walls around it, kind of a cool old place. It's nice to see it get some upgrades, but I agree, as a player, I love playing on the grass.
Bree Stevens Field, the oldest playing field in Madison. The city purchased the land to build this facility in 1923. Bree Stevens was the mayor of Madison in the late 1800s, and he's been honored as the namesake of this great facility.
Great D there by Kevin Brown. Prevents the swing to DiGirolamo.
Weber and Mechanix on the mark. Little gap found there. Brennenborg was a Callahan finalist when he was at Pittsburgh. Back to Brennenborg.
You can see how they're preventing the backwards dump. Little bump on the mark there is going to get him 10 yards and a fresh stall count. But you can see how they really make a point to not allow you to reset even backwards. And that's something that can be very disorienting. Normally teams will give you the backwards reset, but not Madison. And look at that. That's a dump.
Tough high release flick blade.
Yeah. Who in the world would want to lose yards by throwing a high release flick to reset?
Pretty impressive throw for it to get there as easily as it did. Now, DiGirolamo, as you can see, just trying to move the disc quickly. Slash cut immediately on the release.
Yeah, a guy like DiGirolamo must just be going nuts in a D like this. He just wants to cut. He just wants to torch a guy deep.
Pittsburgh's
really no open real estate.
Probably not doing itself any favors by bringing it to the sideline, and Brennenborg hand blocked by Weber.
Yeah, that's tough to do without fouling. But he's gotten very good at that in this zone.
Nelson picks up, gets it to Everhart, and now Schreiwise. That's a hammer to the open side. And now to the end zone, Madison with a big break. Seth Meyer, making his 2015 Radicals debut, comes up with a score.
Yeah, how confident does Schreiwise look with the disc? I mean, he just gets it, he surveys the field. I don't want to throw a backhand on. I'm just going to drop a little double helix hammer in there, just for good measure. He's just such a confident guy, a guy that when I see him with the disc, if he's on my team, I feel very confident. You can see the play set up here. This is on D, so look at the trouble that Pittsburgh's in this zone. There's really nothing to look at. Stall count's probably at 6 or 7. You got to try something. And a nice clean block. You can see here, Schreiwise just drops in a hammer, flattens it out so that it's soft and catchable, and then, to continue for the goal. That is very tough to defend.
I think I said open side. Obviously, that was the break side of the field, but still not exactly the decision that you'd expect that early in the stall count. He threw the hammer with such ease. Madison will play man on D this time. Saul picked up by Adam Drews. Underneath, tumbling to the ground, but making the play. Scott Trimble, and now Aaron Watson.
Watson against Brown has been a fun matchup to watch downfield. Two athletic guys really working the lane.
And that hit the turf. Just shy of Beardsley's cut. 90 seconds left in the first quarter that Madison, by and large, has controlled.
Yeah, they look very confident on their home turf. No pun intended.
Little two-man game. Drews and Hart gaining ground. Saul on the mark. And a layout D there for Pittsburgh. Battle for the disc, and there's contact. Layout D made by Eric Zarobilla, one of the Ohio natives that Pittsburgh picked up on the way. A good pickup.
Yeah, heck of a play with a bidding Kevin Pettit-Scaling right there.
And that D is made, the 15 seconds before the throw as much as it is right when the throw is released.
That's true.
Reminded me of a young Chuck Kindred playing defense.
Or an old Chuck Kindred for that matter.
Saul shoots it right on the money for Aaron Watson.
Now that's important. If you're Pittsburgh, you need to open up the deep game, okay? That's how you separate yourself in this game. Madison is a great team. They take the unders, they break the mark. They can't huck all that well. That's one thing Pittsburgh can do, Madison cannot do, and I think they need to open it up. Even if there's a couple turnovers, and I like to see this shot.
Isaac Saul not really pressured on the mark here.
Yeah.
Very relaxed.
Yeah, the mark kind of gave him the IO lane there, and he gladly took it. And I think, you know, as a thrower, especially, this isn't their home field, right? Pittsburgh's never played here before. The wind is swirling. As a thrower, that makes you a little tentative, but you got to open it up. You got to take your shots. If the wind, you know, sabotages a couple of your hucks, so be it. But this is a team with an elite deep game.
By the way, that guy with the green mohawk that we just saw on the sideline, that's David Hogan, the Pittsburgh head coach. If only NBA head coaches had that type of style.
Tom Thibodeau would probably look good with a green mohawk.
Maybe Greg Popovich will pull it out if the Spurs can win tonight in Game 7. And that's a low release saved by Schreiwise. Clock winding down. Schreiwise lets it fly. The outside in flick just out of the reach of Dave Wiseman. And Madison unable to score at the buzzer. Wow, exciting finish to the quarter.
That was cool. Wiseman tried the little bump and run, put his hip on the guy and released deep and just off his fingertips there. That would have been a heck of a play.
So the Thunderbirds down by as many as 3, get the final score of the quarter, dodge a bullet there. And after 12 minutes, it's a 2-score game. 1 down and 3 to go tonight in beautiful Madison, Wisconsin. Radicals up 5-3 after 1.
Yeah, it's a Zipcar. I don't own it, I just use it when I need it. Zipcar has thousands of cars parked all over the city, even 2 on my block. I can use one for an hour or for a day. And Zipcar pays for gas and insurance. It's easy.
Go to Zipcar.com to get your Zip Card, the key to vehicles parked in your neighborhood and across the globe. For work or play, find a Zipcar near you, book it,
and before you know it, you're on the road.
Cars by the hour or day, gas and insurance included. Join for as little as $6 per month at Zipcar.com.
Find gas station.
Playing jazz station.
Hi, gas?
Cat migration.
No, I don't want a full tank Frank. How do I get gas?
When you travel, new doesn't always mean improved. Except for Motel 6's new improved website. In just a few clicks, book a room for the lowest price of any national chain based on price or location. It's new and actually improved. I'm Tom Bodette, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Great fan support here at Breeze Stevens Field in Madison. The Radicals up by 2 at the end of 1. I'm Evan Lepler, joined by recent gold medalist in the Beach World Games over in Dubai, Chuck Kindred. His stats weren't great for the week, but he was a key leader on the USA Open Masters team. Congrats on that gold medal, by the way.
Thanks.
How would you grade how Pittsburgh has handled themselves in the first quarter of play?
Well, I think, kind of to your point earlier, they got on a bus at 6 a.m. today and made every stop along the way to get here. You know you don't have your best stuff in this first quarter. I mean, I don't think we've even seen them at 80% yet. So the fact that you're within 2, you've challenged, you've caused some problems with your man D, and you've started to open up that deep game. If I'm Pittsburgh, I'm happy. We know we got to move it up 2 notches, but I think these guys are capable of it.
And Pittsburgh dodged the bullet at the end of the first. They'll receive the disc here to start the second.
Yeah, the table's set. You've got your offense on the field. You're fresh. Let's see what these guys can do.
You talk so much about the Radicals' zone defense, and there's a lot to talk about in terms of the unique innovation that Madison has created. Their man-to-man defense, which they run a good percent of the time, is pretty darn good too.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, and in that zone, that's a nice way for a couple of these guys to get some rest so that on the next point they can come out and play hard man. I mean, hard man defense is kind of the way you win in this sport.
Renenborg catches the pull, centers for Saul. Quickly underneath for DiGirolamo, marked by Swain, and DiGirolamo throws the huck a little bit low, alertly defended by Andrew Mechanix. Timeout called by Tim DeBile. Mechanix with a little grin on his face, like, hey, we're all good with me with the disc, don't worry about it. Yeah. And yet Tim DeBile says, I'd rather Andrew Brown have the disc.
Fair enough, Tim.
So not really a strategic timeout. This is just to get the offense on the field timeout for the Radicals.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's one of the things in the AUDL that I like is the ability to sub during timeouts. And
there's Tim DeBile, the head coach.
Yeah, I owe that guy $50.
You do?
I do. I bet them. I made a little bet about how the Radicals would do last year, and they well exceeded my expectations, so I got to pay up.
So would you make a similar bet this year, or have you learned your lesson?
I like donating to Tim DeBile, so I'd probably make the same bet. I think he's a worthy cause.
If I remember correctly, you expected them to get blown out by San Jose in the semifinals, and they lost by 3.
That's right.
But you are a man of bold predictions. That's what I like about you.
Yeah, let's not talk about who I picked to win this year.
If I remember correctly, you picked one of the expansion teams in the West, but not Los Angeles. Yeah. It might be the expansion team that hasn't won a game yet.
It could be. I mean, I'd have to check. I'd have to check my notes. That sounds right. Yeah, San Diego's let me down a little bit, 0-4. And their coach, Kevin Stewart's down coaching the college boys this weekend. So hopefully they notch a couple wins and get on the right track to maybe make the playoffs.
San Diego gets to host San Jose tomorrow. It's always a treat to play a team as good as San Jose, an honor, but you usually don't end up with a win, and Andrew Mechanix probably thinking, I could have done that.
Yeah, he probably is.
The hammer for the score. Hauled in by Felipe Delgado, 22-year-old from Bogota, Colombia. The Thunderbirds within 1.
Yeah, sick hammer over the top by Federico. He just drops it in there the same way Schreiwise did. If you flatten it out, the worst that the wind can do is kind of hurry it up or slow it down. It really it flies pretty true. You can see Federico surveys the field, puts it up into the wind, lets it work it down and flatten out, and a nice easy catch in the end zone.
Now, why throw the hammer there instead of stepping around and trying to throw the backhand?
The backhand can pop up, the hammer really can't. You know, if you step around and the lip is up on the backhand, and normally you're going to have to kind of stretch out and bend it around the mark. So if the wind's kicking the way it is there, a lot of times it can pop up and get back into play. If you throw a hammer, the worst that can happen is you just turn it over too much, and it becomes kind of a dead bird falling out of the sky. But at least it doesn't pop up and move to the right.
So that's 2 goals for Pittsburgh in the last 45 seconds of game time, going back to the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, they're coming on here. Deep shot by Brown. Mechanix in the area.
So is Scott Trimble, and he did enough. He didn't get the disc, but he forced Mechanix to go up early. Pittsburgh will take over.
And you can see how the wind is blowing towards us when we get the wide shot there. So he's throwing an IO flick. The wind pops it up and makes it kind of hang and move to the right. Makes it a tough read for Mechanix.
David Hogan calls another timeout from the Pittsburgh sideline. You only get 2 timeouts a half. Hogan is devoid now, but the Thunderbirds have the disc, looking to get the offense on the field and tie it up. Early in the second, Pittsburgh thinking about a tie game at 5-all here in Madison.
We're going to teach your kids about sportsmanship, spirit of the game. We're going to teach our kids conflict resolution. They're going to have a great time. They're going to get an amazing message about cancer. It's not a death sentence. It's not something you need to be scared of. It's something that you need to have a winning attitude towards, like an opponent on a field.
The AUDL has brought a lot of professionalism to Eric. The players are all big role models. They're perfect Eric ambassadors. They teach the game. They love kids. Kids love them. It's just a great combination.
Go Team Eric!
We are Team Eric!
A Team Eric banner hangs across the way at Breeze Stevens Field here in Madison. Great organization that has really infiltrated the Ultimate community in a very positive way over the past couple of years. Pittsburgh with Isaac Saul. His brother Noah plays for the Raleigh Flyers, who've got a big game this weekend, and Saul throws it away immediately. Raleigh Flyers are hosting their nearby rivals from Charlotte for the first time.
I think Ken Porter's getting married today as well.
Yeah, he is. A lot of players from both the teams are at the wedding following the score. We're watching the stream. Mechanix hits KPS. Kevin Pettit-Scantling with his second goal.
Yeah, an unfortunate miscue there at the beginning of the point. David Vatz and Saul had eye contact. I think they thought they knew what each other were thinking, but the backhand went to empty space, unfortunately. Madison capitalizes.
This Madison team has been really good with the disc, especially the offensive line. 87% conversion rate, number 2 in the league. But this Radicals defense there getting the break.
That's incredible, 87%.
I was asking a couple guys on the Radicals about that. Is there a number that you're trying to get? Do you want to be at 90% or 95%? So they don't really talk about it as a percentage basis, but with a wider field, they think it should be 100%. You know, they don't think that they should turn it over, and if they do, they think it's their mistake as opposed to a great defensive play. That's the style they want to emulate.
It does make sense. You should always have an option. You should always have some space to throw to. I've been pretty impressed with the defense on both sides. Like I've said, though, these Pittsburgh downfield defense looks pretty sharp when they get set.
Looked like some miscommunication there. Rob Dulabon came completely wide open on the open side. Now DiGirolamo resets it for Brennenborg. They expected Brennenborg to take a little bit of a larger role today without Alex Thorne. DiGirolamo looking to the end zone. That's right on the money. Perfect put. Dulabon hauls it in. And Pittsburgh back within 1.
Yeah, you love to see DiGirolamo getting involved on the offense there. He's made some nice upline cuts, resets, and then a great huck to the end zone there. He's a guy you want to get going if you're the coach at Pittsburgh.
DiGirolamo has really filled up the stat sheet well through the first couple games. Pittsburgh only 2 games. Win over Indianapolis and then a blowout win over Cincinnati. DiGirolamo with 11 goals and 12 assists in those 2 games.
So 23 points he had a hand in. That seems like a lot.
Many of his assists, too, were not just he would receive a huck and then dump it into the end zone. They were legitimate 30, 40-yard throws, similar to that one to Dulabon. Madison's offense back on the field. Tom Annan, miscommunication. That's his 2nd turnover. His 1st game of the year for the Radicals. He just moved to Boston. He's in grad school at Northeastern. He thought he was getting away from a tough winter. He moved to Boston in January. He had a rude awakening in New England this year.
Yeah, that probably was not pleasant. Very physical there by Scullion on the mark.
This is Anson Reppermund. Sneaks it through to Fedorenko, looking long. He wants Dulabon. He may have shot it too far, and it's defended beautifully by Madison.
Yeah, Coolidge gets in there and mixes it up. He's so athletic and explosive, and he's not a big guy, so you think you got him with, keeping him on your back. You think you're going to be okay, and then he just explodes up over the top.
And that was a tremendous D from Thomas Coolidge. He was shaken up early in the game. Good to see him back out there. Schreiwise lets it fly. Wiseman in pursuit, and what a shot, what a grab, Madison. In a blink of an eye, gets the D in the back of one end zone, scores 100 yards in the other direction.
Yeah, Wiseman looked like he was grimacing a little bit on that deep sprint.
Yeah, he looked like he was struggling.
Yeah, closed out on it though. Nice play by him. Way to use his size too, especially in the wind. Position becomes even more important. He's a guy who knows that very well. Look at this D over the back though. Gets up a little bit early, gets in there and gets contact on the disc before he gets contact with the player. I mean, that's so important. A lot of times guys go through and just wreck the receiver, make a great play, but get called for the foul. And here's you can see Wiseman just kind of grinding, puts his shoulder in front of the defender, closes out there.
Well, you probably wouldn't call Dave Wiseman a burner out there, but he's quick enough for a guy his size.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a big guy. You don't realize sometimes when you see him, but when you see him go up in the end zone, we saw him last year a couple times. Just roof guys. I mean, he's just a big guy, sticky hands.
So you've seen this Madison team play a lot over the past few years. What's the key to beating the zone?
I think you have to prove that you can go over the top. And like I said, don't let these guys settle. I mean, as much as I love Weber, he ain't quick. So if you keep the disc moving, he will not get set. And you certainly don't want him to settle in and get his hands up the way he's about to right here.
You don't want to let the stall count get to 3 or 4, then they smell blood. And that is a beautiful put. Isaac Saul looked like he was throwing to 2 Radicals defenders, but the disc just coalesced itself perfectly into the grasp of Beardsley.
Yeah, a tough around flick there. The wind's knocking that throw down. So this is a situation where that bladey shape of the throw there, the wind's going to knock it down. It's going to make it come down even quicker. So as a defender, you have basically no time to recover.
Is that a tough throw because you're basically throwing to a stationary target?
Well, you're throwing to a spot more than a cutter, but it's definitely a tough throw. If that turns over, I mean, the wind's pushing it. If that turns over at all, then it just rolls to the receiver. So I wouldn't say it's an easy throw. Some guys make it look easy, but those guys are what we call pros.
Isaac Saul grew up playing in what's the oldest summer league in the world. New Jersey, the Mercer County Ultimate Disc League, playing with his brothers and his parents. He went to Pittsburgh, now plays for the Thunderbirds. His brother Noah went to the University of North Carolina, now plays for the Raleigh Flyers. Definitely get the sense that both offenses are settling in a little bit after a turnover late in first quarter. The wind is not unbelievable, but pretty steady.
Yeah, it almost feels like it's picked up. This is not easy wind to throw in, and you can see how...
Oh, lefty backhand from Wiseman to Schreiwise. That's the only way he could have got that throw off, and he made it look really easy, but it's not really easy.
Yeah, he's a guy that he obviously understands the wind. He knew he didn't have to get much on it. He needed to get it up, let the wind kind of guide it downward to the receiver. And that's the thing that's impressive about watching these teams play, watching teams play well in the wind, is that every throw is different depending on what direction you're throwing. If you throw a flick to the right, you got to release it low, keep it tight. You throw a flick to the left, you want to release it waist high and let it.
You can work in sports a long time, you'll never see it all. Power is out at the stadium, blown transformer somewhere nearby. We don't know the details, but we have resumed play, and Isaac Saul immediately shoots it deep, and what a catch made by Tyler DiGirolamo. Perhaps the play of the game so far, and the Thunderbirds are back within one almost instantaneously after the resumption of play.
Yeah, and you started to see the eye of the tiger there from DiGirolamo. He goes deep. He looks hungrier than anybody else I've seen in the AUDL. When the disc goes up, you can just see he wants it. He goes up and battles, and he gets it.
So these two teams have been trading points here in this second quarter. It was 5-3 Madison after one. Pittsburgh scored the first in this quarter. There have been a couple turnovers mixed in, but that was a remarkable grab by DiGirolamo, who David Hogan expected to play a little more handler today. He's a guy who's obviously a thrilling deep threat, not at all a liability with the disc in his hands. He's a dynamic thrower too, but I think the best part of his game is that deep threat.
I agree, and that's one of the reasons it sets up his breaks. It sets up his throws around the disc. When he even fakes like he's going downfield, you have to respect it. Heck of a catch there by Hart. Goes up and does a little pirouette in the air.
Contact called on the mark, and Hart will regain the disc.
I found out a couple months ago that Hart lives in the same building as me, one floor below where I live. And I immediately became creeped out.
You think he's, listening to what you're doing most of the time?
I would assume, right?
I imagine he really enjoys your late-night fiddle sessions.
Yeah, he said something that...
Schreiwise to the end zone again, and it seems like Schreiwise and Wiseman have the connection tonight.
Yeah, sick little inside break there from Schreiweiss. Yeah, Brian Hart, interesting guy, very athletic, who's on the Nationals juniors teams, and just he's kind of coming into his own. You can see he's got a lot of confidence, and he really enjoys playing with this group of guys. I think he's a guy to keep an eye on in the next 3-4 years. He's going to continue to get better.
And he's stalking you in Milwaukee because he's currently enrolled in dental school at Marquette. Yeah, he was the heart and soul behind Wisconsin's college team a couple of years ago. Suffered a frustrating hamstring injury early in Nationals that year when the tournament was in Madison. They expected to roll to the finals, didn't make it to the semis. 8-6 and now 9-7. Past the midway point in the second quarter.
Now watch Pittsburgh move the disc. They're not letting these two guys get set. They're keeping it moving. Quick little pump fakes downfield. They immediately want to get this around. You can see nice contain there by Mechanix. He's not letting him go around. There they slip one through. But Pittsburgh, you can tell, they're trying to not let these guys get set.
Oh, what a second effort grab there by Isaac Saul. That one floating, and Mechanix couldn't get there in time. Hauled in by Mast. Now the hammer does not have enough float. Again, falling shy of Beardsley. Timeout called by Tim DeBile from the sidelines. And Madison's offense taking the field. They know who they were. The coach didn't need to say you, and you. They know. Timeout called. 7 just immediately, instinctively begin walking onto the field. The score 9-7. Madison leads Pittsburgh by 2 here in the second. Welcome back to Breeze Stevens Field, everybody. 5:24 to go in the second quarter, and Andrew Brown will pick up the disc.
The Madison O-line has looked a little vulnerable today. Annan with a couple miscues. Andrew Brown had a couple turns. Let's see if they can tighten the screws here and punch this one in.
Well, the Radicals have been bit by the injury bug. Most recently, Colin Camp, who's led Madison in goals. The former Hodag suffered a hamstring injury last week. Felt it as the week went on and held out of tonight's game. David Schleicher out with an injury. Nate Thibodeau out with an injury. Tom Annan hasn't played the first few games because of his relocation to Boston, but he's here today. And Annan's certainly a handler that can be a game changer for you.
He can. He really opens up the field, and he's a guy that doesn't rattle easily, has great breaks to every different spot on the field. Just one of those quarterbacking guys that you trust.
Hart took a quick look downfield, then looked up and gets the push pass for Brown, who slithers that throw to the far side, and now downfield for Hart. Watson on the mark. And the mistake by Hart threw it right into the grasp of Fedorenko, who comes up with another D. Remember, this is a Pittsburgh O-point originally, but with a timeout, Dulabon, and there was foul downfield, which is what necessitated the whistle here. It was the downfield referee about 60 yards from where the contact on the mark seemingly occurred.
So that was a foul on the mark, not on one of the downfield cutters?
I think they called it on the downfield cutter, even though from here it also looked like a foul on the mark.
It definitely did, yeah.
It's a tough defensive task for Andrew Brown trying to guard DiGirolamo. And now they leave DiGirolamo. Wiseman picks him up. DiGirolamo going deep. He's not covered, but can he get there? Incomplete. Not enough float for even one of the fastest guys in the league in Tyler.
You can see how much confidence these guys have in Tyler. As soon as his defender leaves him, he starts to think, he starts to move deep, and the disc goes up. They don't need a big cut. They don't need a lot of space. When he wants it deep, they throw it.
Madison is good as anybody in the league at getting the disc off the line in tight quarters. Poach attempt leads to a D. It's Anson Reprimand. Not sure if he deflected the disc or just provided enough presence. And then it's Reprimand, rather Fedorenko in the end zone from DiGirolamo. Pittsburgh back within one.
Wow, Fedorenko's a lot of fun to watch, isn't he? Great throws, very athletic, got a nose for the disc. Just a ton of fun to see this guy.
That score comes with 2:52 remaining in the second quarter. And now everybody on the field asking the sideline referee, Dan Rubenstein, who has a much bigger job now that there's no scoreboard for everyone to see. But it's a one-score game late here in the second. You know, Madison has won its 3 games this year by an average of 15 goals per game. Pittsburgh hasn't had a close game yet. So I think both of these teams are really looking forward and expecting a game to go down to the wire tonight.
Yeah, I know I was very excited to get this game going and see what these two teams can do against each other. They're not teams that see each other all that often. You know, they're not actually that close. They're both in the Midwest Division, but
oh, D, that's still up in the air, still floating, but Pittsburgh takes care of business as Jonathan Mast on the second effort secures the D.
Deep shots there.
Sam Schurer looking long. He wants John Diamichis, and in the end zone, Pittsburgh comes up empty because of Kevin Brown. Andrew's younger brother throws it high over the reach of Mechanix. Another turnover. Oh, wow. And Mechanix gets the D and says, okay, guys, everybody take a deep breath. Let's do what we know how to do. No timeouts left in the half for either team. Looking for Swain, and he comes down with a disc. The clap catch in the end zone makes it 10-8 Radicals.
What a back and forth. These two teams are really getting into it with each other. Just under 2 minutes left here. And I like those deep shots from Pittsburgh. I like them at least challenging with the deep ball. Kevin Brown was up to the task, though. Gets up early, gets the block. And just a quick back and forth. Mechanix sort of separating himself, becoming a leader of this team at the young age of 25.
Couple times now, Chuck, Pittsburgh has had an opportunity, a throw to their end zone that they're attacking, looking for the tie. They don't get it. Madison, in seconds, goes down the field.
Yeah, and we've seen that over the years with Madison. They let teams get close, but they really never let the game get away. You know, especially on this home field, there's this belief. There's this really strong belief that these guys have that no matter what, we're not going to give it up. We're not going to lose on our home field. And you can see right when they need it, they get another goal.
The crowd counting down like the clock is expiring. It is not. This point began with 1:52 to go. Good poise from Pittsburgh, but that's how a home field advantage can affect the outcome of a game. DiGirolamo will pick up another assist here. Ethan Beardsley, another goal.
Yeah, and Brennenberg just kind of stands, surveys the field, and rips one right through the center of the defense up the gut for a quick little bounce for the goal. Nice job by him seeing that up the middle throw. That's the one that they've been able to get. That's the one that's really been the hamstring of this defense so far.
And makes it 10-9. Check. Final minute here in the first half. Madison leading by 1, and now back up by 2 as the big fella Scott Riggles finds the end zone for the Radicals. Now 1 minute, 2 seconds remaining in the half. Well, it's been an eventful first 24 minutes. Live TV, there ain't nothing like it, Chuck Kindred.
Yeah, I feel like I'm on Saturday Night Live or something, just trying not to drop the ball here. But these two teams are getting better and better. I feel like every sequence they get a little more dialed in, a little more fired up for this matchup. This is a marquee matchup in any division.
Oh, the Toronto Rush suffered their first loss last Sunday on the road at the hands of the Montreal Royale. A thrilling game that Montreal won 27-26.
And you were there for that, right?
I was. It was incredible. A high-level game. That throw easily poached by Kevin Pettit-Scantling. And now we're in the final minute of the half. That was Toronto's first loss. One of these teams will fall from the ranks of the undefeated today.
Wow.
Ben Nelson couldn't get it to a teammate, and Pittsburgh has another chance.
What a sick trailing edge layout D there. Time is an issue.
Brennan Borg. 20 seconds in the half. Saul shoots it downfield for Vats. Watson. 10 seconds now. DiGirolamo to the back of the end zone, even with the crowd chanting the wrong clock. DiGirolamo impervious and picks up another assist, 11-10.
Great awareness there by Tyler. He's spinning, he's looking for a reset. He comes back around and just sees one of his receivers in the back of the end zone, drops the blade in over the top. This guy knows how to put the disc in the end zone.
You think Madison might need to assign a guy to guard Beardsley wherever he is in the field? Because he's just carving him up, not really making cuts, just finding gaps.
And he's so big. I mean, he's just trouble. The guy's, what is he, 6'5", 190 pounds? So that guy, he and I have nothing in common, in other words. This guy is tall, light, athletic. He can get around.
Because you're like 6'3", what, 290 pounds?
I'm morbid. I don't know what the number is. They don't have numbers that go that high.
The hair adds a good 20 pounds that you're growing.
That's true.
We got 4 seconds left in the first half. Clock starts when Madison touches the disc. Brown lets it fall. Schreiwise open in the middle of the field, receives the Scuba. Did he get the throw off? Looks like he did, but Riggles can't come down with it. So the second straight quarter, Madison with a chance to add on a point. They can't do it, and we've got a heck of a second half coming here in Madison. The score at the break, Radicals 11, Thunderbirds 10. Chuck, your quick hit thoughts on this first half.
I'm impressed with Pittsburgh. This is the first time I've seen these guys live. You can tell they're not overhyped. These guys can play. They don't even have all their college guys on the field this weekend, let alone, you know, the fact that they woke up at 5 this morning, got on a bus, and drove across the country to be here. I think if I'm Madison, we need a pep talk at halftime. We need to come out sharper, especially on O, and we need to punch that disc in every time.
No Alex Thorne, no Marcus Reyni-Dropcho, no Pat Earls. No problem so far for the Thunderbirds. They're playing the defending Midwest champs neck and neck in the first half. We will take a break. When we come back, we will review week 3 in the AUDL. Some highlights from that thrilling Toronto-Montreal game. Seattle got revenge out west. All the details from week 3 as we have arrived to halftime in week 4. Madison by 1 over Pittsburgh. Stay with us. Week 3 in the East, Philly and New York. The Empire off to a good start in this one. Timmer Farrell goes up for the D. That led to Matt Arletta giving New York an early lead. The Phoenix continue to make some great plays on their own. Steve Ing lays out and then picks up the assist. Philadelphia deep shot here. And Sean Mott rises up, makes the grab. And then Ing again. Reads it and bids beautifully. But New York made more plays, like this crazy hammer from Andrew Wilkes. Empire improved to 2-0 with a 10-point win over the Phoenix. Battle for Ontario as Toronto visited Ottawa, and the Outlaws flexed their defensive muscle,
but some near misses helped the Rush find their rhythm. Sashin Reyna, the second effort lefty snag, and then Thompson McKnight to Steve Armitage. Isaiah Masik-Kelly comes up with a huge leaping deflection, and then Masik-Kelly again. Out of nowhere, he emerges. Another Toronto standout was Cam Harris. He maintains his concentration in the back of the end zone, taps his foot inbounds for the Rush score. Ottawa kept it close, but Toronto took care of business, winning this one 23-19. Incredible atmosphere in Montreal as the Royale and the Rush met in the game of the weekend. Over 2,000 fans at Percival Molson Stadium saw Toronto get off to the good start. But then the Rush would falter. Montreal airing it out with success. Max Guy runs it down for the Royale. Final play of the first half, Antoine Genet launches the Hail Mary, and Antoine Lepongnan comes up with a catch. Royale down just one at the half, and Montreal took control in the third. Relentless pressure on Toronto's handlers. Montreal tied it up, took the lead, and the crowd went crazy. The Rush would respond, though, as you knew they would. Ian McKenzie with a huge layout D. Then Jonathan Martin intercepts the under and hits Andrew Carroll. Rush now down by just one. Final point, Yolan Cabot cannot make the shoestring catch to put the game away, giving Toronto one final chance. Carroll gets it off. Red jersey's in the area, but the disc falls incomplete. Montreal prevails 27-26. Three teams with just one loss apiece after week 3. In the South, Jacksonville developing a reputation for its size, but the Nashville NightWatch came out hungry in this one. Tom Radcliffe with a huge game. That's one of his 7 goals. For the Cannons, Mike Hickson hits Avery Van Brussel. Heck of a grab. Later, Hickson trying to go long, but Nashville said no. Late in the game, the Cannons would crawl within 2 at 19-17. But the NightWatch able to control the clock and put this game away. 20-18 the final. Nashville earns its first AUDL victory. The next day, Jacksonville journeying to Atlanta for the Hustle home opener. Didn't take long for Atlanta to pick up its first break. Jacksonville kept it close. Sullivan with a pretty deep shot, and Hickson completes the score for the Cannons. Atlanta, though, another break here. Robert Runner hauls in the goal, and then the Hustle, impervious to Jacksonville's double team. A majestic shot for Christian Olsen. So close to making the spectacular grab. Much of this game was all about Huck and hope. Occasionally, it would work. Jacksonville looking long, and Jeff Walker scored the goal. But later, Sullivan's flick immediately canceled by Runner, who promptly sends Robert Bradham for the Showtime score. And Atlanta takes down Jacksonville 23-20. The idle Raleigh Flyers still in first place in the South, but Atlanta standing in second. The Hustle have won 3 straight. Week 3 in the Midwest, full of great bids. Indianapolis and Cincinnati squaring off, and the Revolution with some early success in the deep game. But the AlleyCats would dominate the sky for most of this one. Nate Page takes control. Then Indy working up line and shooting to the end zone. Rick Gross makes the play. Levi Jacobs stood out as well. The layout D, which he would quickly bookend with the AlleyCats score. Late in the game, John Cecil tracking the outside in backhand, and he puts it away. The Indianapolis AlleyCats cruise over Cincy 25-9. Tough turnaround for the Revolution, having to play against Tyler DiGirolamo in Pittsburgh the very next day. In their home opener, the Thunderbirds looked dominant. Rob Dulabon connecting with Tad Whistle off the turnover, and Pitt up big early in the first quarter. And then, clock winding down, Isaac Saul to Alex Thorne. And then, Ethan Beardsley in the end zone, bigger than everyone. He stays in bounds, made it look easy. Tim settles with a layout score. Nice play from Cincy, but the Revolution highlights were uncommon in this one. Mostly, it was Pittsburgh. Scoring, and scoring some more in a 30-16 victory. Thunderbirds are undefeated in the Midwest, and so are the Radicals. Madison hosting Detroit. And this one was close in the first half. Detroit with a nice catch in the back of the end zone, count it, but eventually Madison would roll. Radicals rookie Colin Camp, and he gives up the body to make the grab. Madison's defense just suffocating the Mechanix, using a 20-2 run to improve to 3-0 on the season. 35-12 the final at Breeze Stevens Field. Chicago and Minnesota beginning their seasons last week, and Wildfire standout Brody Smith skies for the score on the opening point, but landing awkwardly. Smith would return briefly, but he went down again. Very tough break for Brody. He announced he tore his ACL and will be out for the season. Without Smith, though, Goose Helton takes charge. The full field shot, and Patrick Kaufman hauls it in. Then Tim Fergus up the line for the score. Great goal line defense from Chicago. The definition of a stuff and a score. Bob Lou gets lucky, and the Wildfire takes control. Here, a rare upwind break for Chicago. Mike Egan's going to pick up the assist, and Chicago wins this one 20-14, but losing Brody Smith for the season. Huge Midwest matchup in Week 4 as Pittsburgh and Madison meet for the first time on ESPN3. Big rematch in the West. Seattle looking for some revenge against Vancouver. Edward Guo had the game-winning goal against the Cascades in Week 2, but Seattle broke first in Week 3. Joe Sefton laying out and finding Mario O'Brien for Seattle. A key difference maker for the Cascades was Matt Rader. The big fella pulls it down. Later, a huge hammer leading to another Cascade score. Vancouver did make a second-half push. Late in the third, Kevin Lohr makes the play. And then the final seconds in the third, it's Chotha rising up for the Riptide. Vancouver only down 2 after 3. Alex Davis with a tremendous D here, but late it was Seattle who took control. Rader with a ridiculous block. Incomprehensible athleticism from Matt Rader. Later, O'Brien with a sweet break to Tom Rosato, and then Ray Ilian with the score. Seattle soars past Vancouver 26-22. San Diego seeking its first win in San Francisco, and the Growlers off to a great start. Jimmy Mickle drops the hammer. That's a break. San Diego up 7-3 in the first, but in the final seconds of the quarter, Eli Jannon's shot flying 93 yards in the air, and San Francisco comes up with a disc. It's Jordan Jeffrey, a turning point score. Later in the first half, very important poach from Sam Chatterton Kirchmeyer. The FlameThrowers tied it at 9 and then led at the half as Bars Lang grabbed one of his 5 goals. San Francisco figured out San Diego in the second half. Eli Kearns, never a doubt. Growlers' late run led by Mickle, and then Nick Lance, perhaps the catch of the game. Growlers would not give up, but the FlameThrowers would not be denied. San Francisco finding Bars Lang again, and the FlameThrowers prevail 27-22. Tough turnaround for the Growlers at San Jose on Sunday, and early Nathan Bridges gives it away, but then makes amends with a D on Bo Kittredge. But as usual, Kittredge would respond. Bo with 3 Ds and 7 goals in this one for the San Jose Spiders. San Diego with some deep defense here, creating some chances in the game. But too often, San Diego's throws just popped into the air. Kittredge intercepts and finds Cassidy Rasmussen for the score. Later, Seth Reinhardt hauls in the deep shot. And you can see San Diego's exhaustion. Reinhardt easily hits Greg Cohen for the score. Down the stretch, Rasmussen delivered the knockout blow. Full extension for San Jose. Greg Cohen gets big. Marcelo Sanchez lays out. An avalanche of Spider highlights, and the game ends with one final Kittredge D. San Diego remaining winless as San Jose cruises 31-18. Spiders improving to 3-0 in the West. Seattle and San Francisco both lingering near San Jose in the standings. Welcome back to Madison. The power has returned. The lights are on. The second half is nearly upon us at Breeze Stevens Field, and we welcome you back inside our broadcast booth. 11-10 is the score. Madison leads Pittsburgh. The was 3. Madison went up 5-2 in the first quarter, but Pittsburgh closed the gap quickly and transformed this thing into a nail-biter, which it has been, either a 1 or 2 point game through the entirety of the second quarter. Hi again, everybody. Evan Lepler, Chuck Kindred. He left his gold medal at home, but when you look at him, no, he's big time. What does each team need to do to win this game?
I think if you're Madison, you really need to tighten it up on offense. They're turning the disc over a lot. They don't look in sync. I think having Tom not at practice is probably showing on the field a little bit. And if you're Pittsburgh, keep doing what you're doing. I mean, they're putting a lot of pressure on. They're getting better with every possession. I think Tyler's about to explode. So
you seem very impressed with the Thunderbirds. We'll take a look at some of the first half highlights right now, and we'll see why. Because this Pittsburgh team, you know, despite the early struggles and adapting to this Pittsburgh zone, they were able to do a pretty good job. Most of the turnovers have been quick, rushed turnovers like the one we just saw.
Yeah, I think you're right. There were a bunch of them right in rapid succession. You can see Weber here going up big after getting the block on the zone defense. But yeah, both teams needed to settle down at the beginning. Neither of them were particularly crisp. You can see Fedorenko here dialing in one of those hammers to the weak side. And I just feel like both teams got sharper as the half went on, and Pittsburgh just looks like they're ready to go. They look fired up. These guys are winners. They come out here. They believe in themselves. I'm excited for the second half here.
Real quick, whose uniforms do you like better?
Pittsburgh, by 100,000 miles.
Really?
I'm a Steelers fan. They got some Steelers colors going, in my opinion.
So you came into it with bias. Interesting. Dave Wiseman and Pat Schreiwise had a great connection. Those two guys are probably the reason that Madison has a slim lead.
Yeah, I think so. Schreiwise looks sharp. Wiseman has been a guy just getting it done. And Mechanix, you know, we talked about Mechanix as well. Mechanix is really keeping this team on track, keeping this, you know, keeping the train on the rails here. And he's a leader. You can see he's really becoming a leader on the Madison Radicals this year. Look at this trailing edge D. So hard to do that without fouling on a quick up line. You have to time it. You have to do it without fouling. Here's a hammer to the end zone from Tyler DiGirolamo under a lot of pressure. He's a guy that just has so much poise.
Quick 30-second break. Back to start the second half in just a bit.
Yeah, it's a zip car. I don't own it. I just use it when I need it. Zipcar has thousands of cars parked all over the city, even 2 on my block. You can use one for an hour or for a day. And Zipcar pays for gas and insurance. It's easy.
Go to zipcar.com to get your zip card, the key to vehicles parked in your neighborhood and across the globe. For work or play, find a zip car near you, book it,
and before you know it, you're on the road.
Cars by the hour or day. Gas and insurance included.
Join for as little as $6 per month at zipcar.com.
Third quarter about to begin here at Breeze Stevens Field. 11-10 is the score, and the Radicals ready to receive the second half pull. Great crowd on hand. No word yet if Aaron Rodgers is over there across the way. The Radicals have been leaving him tickets to pretty much every game. He was obviously on the Wisconsin Badgers basketball bandwagon in the NCAA tournament. What a run they had, and obviously keyed by the ultimate that they practiced with in the offseason to stay conditioned. I would not want to guard Frank Kaminsky or Sam Decker on the ultimate field. Chuck probably could take care of business, though.
I could injure one of them.
This is a deep shot looking for Annan, and he's got it. Tom Annan, usually thought of as a handler, but this time going long, and he burned Pittsburgh in the process.
Yeah, great play from him. Nice defender on him, too. So he had to really make the adjustment, take the right line there. And And the wind popped the disc at the end there, so he had to make that last-second adjustment and close on the disc. Let's see how this sets up. So it's a big outside-in backhand bending. The wind's pushing this, and you can see it kind of moves on Tom at the last minute. And he has to kind of take a sharp right turn and collect the disc. Well done by Tom.
Jaden Scullion had the initial assist to the first half for the Radicals. He gets the assist to start the second half as well. Kevin Brown to pull. This looks like the man-to-man defense line featuring Kevin Pettit-Scantling and Mike Swain, Seth Meyer. Andrew Mechanix is out there, and they're sending DiGirolamo deep. Can he get there? And once again, the Thunderbirds just not quite in sync on the deep shot. Adam Drews will pick up the disc. The Radicals leading by 2. Mechanix for Brown. And he lets it fly looking for Swain, but as soon as that throw left Kevin Brown's hands, he knew that it was not going to work.
Yeah, the release was a little too quick. His legs weren't quite underneath him, and that's something that's easy to do when you see something you like and you want to rush the release.
Brennan Borg, not really a flashy handler, but just super solid possession handler.
And he gets what he wants, doesn't he? I mean, he stands there, you feel like you got him under control, and then a quick little break.
DiGirolamo wards off the poach. Pittsburgh's got a lot of space on the near side of the field that they're not using at the moment. Of course, hard to get around that double team, forced even further away.
Yeah, kind of awkward angles for the resets here. Nice D, nice double teams by Madison. They work it through there.
Sometimes you just need to jam it up the line, and Pittsburgh did right there. Jonathan Mast picked up the assist.
Yeah, that scuba over the top is big. And that sets up the nice, easy goal there. If Pittsburgh can do that, I think if they can beat these double teams over the top, they're going to be in good shape. On that point, they weren't seeing the two big guys. They weren't seeing Mechanix and Weber. A little harder to go over the top against those guys.
David Vatz with the score. David Vatz started the team at Mount Lebanon High School when he was a freshman. His first ever game he played, he was down 12-8. Came back and won 13-12, and that could engage you to a sport with a win like that in your first ever game.
Yeah, he's probably had a lot more games like that since that one. As you can tell, it's all over this team. They believe in themselves. They're not afraid to be down and come back and win.
Sun beginning to set here on a gorgeous day in Madison. Andrew Brown looking for something, gets it to Hart. Incidental contact with Mark Ritz. Thought I heard a whistle, and there was contact on the mark. Andrew Brown will move down the field 10 yards.
Yeah, the ref's doing a good job here, just keeping things in line. Deep shot is there, and he puts it up.
Annan again in pursuit, and Annan again comes down with it. His second score of the half.
You know, that's what your coach tells you sometimes. If you're out of sync with the disc in your hands, get downfield, get open, make something happen. And that's what Tom's done. He's scoring goals instead of hovering around the disc and looking for those breaks. Nice, easy, deep shot from Andrew Brown. He really has that smooth release down.
And he doesn't typically throw a ton of hucks.
No, he doesn't. He really doesn't. It's funny watching him and Kevin Brown, his brother, play. They have such different character. Kevin, real flashy and athletic, loves throwing the deep ball.
You think Tom Annan has sensed that they're sort of overplaying the dump, and that's why he's taking advantage and gone deep a couple times?
I think so. I think Tim DeBile's probably pushing him downfield anyway. He's the kind of guy, if he can get open on an under and get the disc, he's so much trouble because he's already 10 yards into the defense. He can break, he can huck. He really puts you on your heels if he gets the disc on an under.
Again, Pittsburgh centers to Saul. Over to Brennan Borg. Pretty much every O point, Pittsburgh will have this unit on the field coming into this game. Watson, Vats, Brennenborg, DiGirolamo, Beardsley, Saul, and Thorne was a 7-man unit for the vast majority of Pittsburgh's offensive points. They had all played between 33 and 39 points. No one else on the team had played more than 7 offensive points in their first 2 games. That's a huge hammer. Half-field shot. Picture perfect for David Vats and Tyler DiGirolamo. Frame that shot right there. He dropped it beautifully.
That was so sick. I love that. As soon as he gets it to, he's ready to strike. He's ready to make a throw, and he drops in a blade. It's one of the quickest up and down throws you can make. Gives the defender, Pat Trywise, no time. Look at number 4. He's not even really out of position here, but he has no chance to get there because that's a blade coming down at 100 miles an hour.
Of course, Pittsburgh's number 4, David Vats, with another goal here in the 3rd quarter.
And look at this. He's kind of wrong-footed. He's moving to his left. He has to stop, establish his pivot foot, and just drop that tomahawk in there. Hard to do without losing your balance. He made it look pretty easy.
Pittsburgh has been able to keep it within 1 or 2. Pittsburgh, though, has never led in this game and never even tied it. They fell behind 2-0. Scott Riggles versus Fedorenko. Riggles over the top.
Yeah, Fedorenko calling for offense there. He's saying Riggles pushed off.
Helps to be 6'7", doesn't it?
It does. Let's take a look at this, though. It's kind of an awkward angle for Fedorenko. He has to move into the body of Riggles before he can go up and get the disc. He was claiming Riggles gave him a push, and he was talking to the ref. Let's have a look. So as the disc drops in, you can see a little bit of contact. I didn't really see a push off there. It just looked like a tough angle for Fedorenko. And a nice job there by Riggles. That hung up a little bit.
If I'm Fedorenko, I'm going to the ref saying he shouldn't be that tall. Like that should be the penalty.
There's got to be a rule against that, right? That's not fair.
That's a dimension to Madison's game that really adds to their ability to compete with the best in the league.
Yeah, it's true. They've got, well, these guys know how to play together very well, and they've got good size. They kind of know where their strengths are. They're a tough team to beat at home, that's for sure.
Brennenborg for Watson. Backhand for Beardsley. Mechanix on Beardsley. DiGirolamo. Until he thought about the hammer, his eyes got big. Stall count rising, a huge push pass, about 20 yards across the field.
Wow, this guy with the disc, something else.
Don't try that at home, folks. As Pittsburgh converts, it was the push pass from DiGirolamo that opened that all up.
Yeah, that's some creativity from Tyler. He knows what he's capable of.
Have you ever seen a push pass that length before?
Well, it wasn't even just the length. It's the fact that he had to kind of insert it over the shoulder of the defender, too. It wasn't a clean release, and he just muscled it across the field. It's pretty cool. So here he is. He's kind of stuck behind the mark here. Needs to get the disc to the center, and he just kind of jams it through there. But that'll work.
As you said earlier, you know, no matter what the stall count is, no matter how good the defense is, there's always some space for you to throw the disc. And you know, DiGirolamo, it's amazing that he's not one of their guys that came up through the Pitt high school scene. He just started playing Ultimate in college when he was a freshman. He stopped playing soccer, was looking for a competitive outlet at an activities fair, found Ultimate, gave it a try, and like so many of us, became hooked. Unlike many of us, he's become one of the best players in the country.
Right, some of us just have to be commentators. We're not superstars.
Speak for yourself. You heard about my Raleigh Flyers combine effort, I'm sure. They were talking about it coast to coast.
I did. I heard the autograph line was all the way around the building.
It's a small building. Here's Brian Hart for Brown. Andrew Brown gets it off. And the shot to the end zone. A little bit closer than perhaps they needed it to be, but Ryan Hart hauls in the goal through the contact.
Yeah, Madison's offense, once they get in that flow and start moving the disc, they're so fun to watch. All these guys hit their angles, understand each other well, move the disc laterally very well. And as a defense, you just never quite get set. You know, as a man defender, the disc is always moving. You never know if you're in position. It's like a box of death drill gone wrong.
Around the midway mark here in this third quarter, want to have some of the viewers chime in with the AUDL Twitter question of the week. And the question today, as we see Coolidge hitting Hart in the end zone, which AUDL expansion team you think has the best chance of actually winning it all this year? Reply to us with the hashtag AUDLChamp, at the AUDL, at Evan Lepler, at Chucktown Now. Chuck dropping knowledge bombs on Twitter monthly. What are your thoughts on that? You know, Pittsburgh is an expansion team. Raleigh certainly has to be in the conversation. Of course, you picked San Diego to win the title, so maybe you'll stand by that, which would be a bold choice, and you're a bold guy. Aaron Watson on the brink of the end zone. Pressure through the double team, gets it to DiGirolamo, hammers across the field, and that's just spectacular vision. Able to get it to Chris Brennenborg. And perhaps a whistle before the throw, so no advantage. Pittsburgh, no goal, but they'll center the disc. Stall count 0, another foul on the offense. And an injury here. Not good news for Tim DeBile's team.
How about that crossfield hammer by DiGirolamo? That was ridiculous. Just standing straight up on one pylon, throws it all the way across the field. Let's see what he can do here against the double team.
Almost a triple team, and he still drops the hammer right on the money. Tough news for Madison as Bill Everhart went out hobbling off the field. 15-14 now the score. Let's throw the Twitter question back up on the screen, and after this replay we'll get Chuck's thoughts on that. DiGirolamo with another good hammer.
Right, and this is one of the keys to being able to beat that double team in that zone. He's tall enough that he can really throw that hammer over the top of those guys. That causes a lot of problems for Madison. You're front loaded on that defense. You're out of position when a guy can throw like that, and it shows.
What do you think? Which expansion team, as of today, do you give the best chance to win the title?
I wish I could say San Diego, but the West Division is just brutal, and I don't see how they're going to make the playoffs at this point. You got to like Raleigh, though. They're a team that's come out hot. They've got a great coach. They've got a great system. I think they've got the pieces to put something together this year.
Let us know what you think, chiming in on Twitter. If you have a really fascinating reason, we might even read it on the air. Or if you give Chuck a compliment on Twitter, he's such an egomaniac, he insists that we read all of Chuck's compliments on the air. There usually aren't that many, though. Just kidding, Chuck.
We've been reading them all game.
Andrew Brown hits Dave Wiseman for the Radicals. 16-14, the home team back up by 2. Not sure there's a smoother thrower in the game than Andrew Brown. He just makes it look so easy, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a tennis player by trade, and you can just see he's got those smooth kind of, they look like ground strokes or net play strokes. He's one of those guys that I'm sure if you hit against him at the net, the ball comes back a lot quicker than you hit it.
So right now we've basically been trading points since the break. That made it 5-4. Fedorenko to Delgado, the first point of the second quarter. And we've been on serve ever since.
Yeah, these AUDL games, the field is big. There's not a lot of rest between points, and the games are long. I mean, this can be a difficult game to stay up for all 4 quarters, and I think we're seeing a little bit of just a relaxing into a routine here by these two teams.
Mechanix lays out, but Beardsley uses his length to come up with a disc, and Mechanix with a hand block, stifled to the ground by Drews. That backhand popped up, and it's ripped away by Pittsburgh's Jonathan Mast. We've seen sequences like this where we've seen multiple turnovers. DiGirolamo's most ambitious hammer yet works out perfectly. I'm not sure how you can stop that.
Yeah, that's too good. That's too good.
That was about a 60-yard hammer down the field. And now Pittsburgh needs to punch it in to get back within one. Saul pivots it back for Brennenberg. Around the mark. Mast keeps it alive. Sacrifices the yards for the reset. And it's Beardsley breaking free from his defender for the score.
Yeah, Chris Brennenberg there just made that look so easy. A nice little high release, shoulder high flick up the break side here. Watch this, just standing there. He's one of those guys, we've all played leagues with guys like this that just survey the field, stand there kind of flat-footed and throw whatever they want. Most of them aren't any good though. Brennenberg, I mean, he just makes you look like a fool on the mark, doesn't he?
He can do that. He's been doing that to opposing defenders for a very long time. Brennenberg was the freshman of the year in his region when he was in college, and three-time all-region recognition. Played in the 06 USA Junior World Championship team. Now trying to elevate to the top of the Midwest Division hierarchy in the AUDL. Hart lets it fly. Oh, and it's defended by Scott Trimble.
Yeah, nice defense on that whole point by Trimble. He was grinding in the lane the whole time, saw that disc go up, got a nice read on it, made the play. Andrew Brown poaching right up in the middle here, causing a little trouble downfield. A heck of a throw through the double team.
Contact on the mark. Scott Trimble, who got that D, goes to school in Pittsburgh, but not at the University of Pittsburgh. He currently attends the Pittsburgh Technical Institute, pursuing an associate's degree in welding. But he played in high school, was coached by Thunderbirds teammate Tad Whistle. It's a tremendous layout to keep the disc alive by James Greeno. Mike Pannoni might be the fastest player on the team. Gets it forward for Anson Repperman. Up the line. Pittsburgh looking for the game's first break since early in the second quarter. It was the first point of the second quarter when Fedorenko hit Delgado. Now Repperman looking for Trimble. What a play, but he was out of bounds, and Trimble can't believe it. Can you?
That was a heck of a play by Trimble. He gave it all he had, laid out big. I think he might have been shaken up on the bid here. Maybe he's just frustrated. He looks like he knocked the wind out of himself. But look at the pursuit here. Full speed, tongue wagging, and the big layout. Looks like he didn't keep his toes down. It's hard to see from there where the line was.
The first point of contact, so if his arm came in out of bounds before the foot landed. What a great sequence as Pittsburgh looked to tie it up. If I'm Trimble, I'm as demoralized by being out of bounds as I am by the shoulder that I landed on, but hopefully he's all right. The guy they called Trucks is 20 years old.
Jeez, this guy. He's holding that shoulder. Hopefully he's all right. He kind of came down hard. Put some pressure on the labrum there, and the trainer's going to talk with him there.
They're going to walk around the field as the Radicals restart play. Pressure on the mark provided by Eric Zarabilla. air bounce there from Brown to get it to Schreiweiss. And a turnover. A mistake made by the Radicals. Gaten Scullion dropped it. This is Pittsburgh's golden opportunity.
Against the double team, Fedorenko gets it around, opens up the field here. Nice goal line D by Madison.
Regals is like having a double team just with one guy with his long arms. Greeno threw it a little bit behind his target, and the adjustment prevented Pittsburgh from making the play. It was Rob Dulabon, who still got both hands on the disc, but the throw a little bit behind him.
Yeah, big shot here from Brown, Regals, and Fedorenko one more time.
Regals again to the summit to make the grab. And then Regals, the lefty, hits the target. Brian Hart in the end zone. Scott Regals has been enormous in more ways than one today.
Yeah, really took over in that point. Nice pressure on the mark, comes all the way downfield. And how about these hucks from Andrew Brown? He's a guy we don't think of as putting up the deep ball, but he's been doing it consistently and with a lot of success. Here's Andrew Brown, sees something he likes, winds and delivers. And watch this play by Regals. Just keeps position. He's got a better angle than Fedorenko at this point. Goes up big with the right hand, his weak hand, and comes down easily, not even close.
You know what's ridiculous? Mark Fedorenko's 6'3".
He looks like a child.
He looks like he's 5'3" next to Regals.
Yeah, he looks like a juniors player out there.
He's one of their better defenders. I'm not sure they could ask for a better matchup unless they throw Beardsley on him.
That would be fun.
Beardsley's on the O-line, though. So Pittsburgh with a couple chances there to get the first break in a long time. We're in the final minute of the quarter. "30 seconds separating us from the final quarter. Swinging it across the field, dangerous throw, and it's defended well.
A scary collision there.
And Seth Meyer had been injured. His first game of the year comes up with a D. Mechanix, a bullet. Weber's got it to the end zone for Meyer, who bookends the D with a score, and Madison's fired up.
Holy cow, Weber didn't even know that disc was going up, and he just looked over his shoulder, saw a disc with some honey on it, and put his big old bear paw on it. These two guys are just on the same wavelength. Defense, offense, it doesn't matter. When you got Mechanix and Weber playing together, good thing happened for the Madison Radicals. Watch this setup. Just a shotgun it. And I don't even think Weber knew it was coming, but he turns around just in time.
Mechanix and Weber are like fraternal twins.
It's something like that.
They have that sort of telekinesis between them, but they're far from identical. The way they play next to each other all the time, and then when they get the turns, it's the unspoken recognition. It's unreal.
It's cool.
And what a turning point in this game. It looked like Pittsburgh on the verge of tying it at 16s. They can't capitalize. The throw behind Dulabon, the deep shot for Regals, and all of a sudden, Pittsburgh's in serious trouble. Final seconds of this quarter. Pittsburgh last week wrapped up the first quarter with Alex Thorne hitting Beardsley.
Oh, great D by KPS. Shot goes up. It's not going to be long enough.
Renenborg shot intercepted by Weber, and he did not get the return throw off. The Radicals closed the third quarter with 2 in a row when it looked like Pittsburgh was on the verge of tying it up. Head coach Tim DeBile has to like what he sees.
Yeah, that was a big turnaround there. That goal line stand that they had, turnover right on the goal line. They stopped the score, threw the goal to Regals, and it's just been off to the races since then. Madison looking sharp.
They're looking sharp, but Tim doesn't look all that comfortable. He still looks a little nervous knowing what this Pittsburgh team can do.
Well, rightly so. I think the best player on the field, in my opinion, is not on Madison.
3 down, 1 to go. We'll see if Tyler DiGirolamo and the rest of the Thunderbirds can overcome the gap here in our AUDL Saturday Showcase on ESPN3.
Next Saturday, we travel back to Toronto for a pivotal Eastern Division clash. The Toronto Rush have been #1 in the East for 2 straight years, but the New York Empire dreams of becoming the division's best in 2015. Join us for a rematch of last year's AUDL semifinal as New York looks to spoil Toronto's home opener. The action starts at 7 p.m. on Saturday, live on Watch ESPN, ESPN3, and also available on TSN Go across Canada.
Good times here at Breeze Stevens Field. A great crowd on hand as the Radicals score the final 2 points in the third, about to start the fourth quarter. And we check out some of these highlights. A 6'7" giant named Scott Riggles will be prominently featured, Chuck Kindred.
Yeah, Riggles put his foot down in the third quarter. Here's the first play, kind of an awkward play, gets up, makes the play cleanly. Fedorenko almost able to D it there.
He caught that one flat-footed.
Yeah, absolutely. Both guys kind of got tangled up, didn't get a good jump. Here's one of the ridiculous hammers from Tyler DiGirolamo.
Yeah, is that in your top 5 DiGirolamo hammers in the quarter?
That's number 4, I think, yeah.
I mean, it's been his primary throw more than the backhand or the flick.
Yeah, it's
Madison
funny.
hasn't had an answer.
It's true. He's had open looks at the backhand, but he chooses to just drop these blades in. Here's one of Andrew Brown's big deep shots here. And again, Riggles against Fedorenko. Fedorenko, a great defender, athletic, 6'3". Timed that pretty well, but Riggles just on another level.
Most guys who are 6'7" don't have the speed or the hops that Riggles has. And usually the size is good enough in itself to be a good player, but he's not just a big fella who relies on that size. He's athletic too.
It's true, and what he does well, he's not necessarily the best jumper. He jumps fine, but he's so fast that he always gets out ahead. He always gets position, and then he plays his position well. He did it both times against Fedorenko for 2 goals.
Pittsburgh's offense begins the final quarter on the field.
Collectivo coffee, my favorite coffee in Milwaukee.
Isaac Saul played for the New York Empire in the playoffs last year, now with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Saul's pretty fun to watch. Got great backhands around, really sees the field well and exploits space in ways that you wouldn't expect.
And he wasn't necessarily planning on coming to this game as the layout D from the Madison defense. Holy cow. Timeout called by the Radicals.
Yeah, just a sick D here. Watch him set this up. He sees this all the way and he does the right thing here. He comes inside, bids with the right hand to avoid the foul. If you try to come around and reach with your left hand, you end up wrapping your right side of your body around the defender, or around the offender rather, and getting a foul call. He makes this a clean D, leads with that right hand, and just explodes through the disc. That's how you do it.
Madison sends the O-line onto the field. That was David Meineke, guy they call Buddy, a rookie on this team, 25-year-old out of UW Milwaukee. Currently coaches the UW Milwaukee women's team.
Black Cat love.
Heineke's stats so far this year have been really solid. 7 goals, 7 assists, 4 Ds through the first 3 games.
Not bad for a rookie. And you know, you come in, if the coach calls your number and you go out and make a play like that, you're going to be on the field a little more.
This is when, Pittsburgh's legs defensively, you wonder, having the 9 to 10 hour bus ride. They have to drive 4 or 5 hours to Minneapolis tonight and tomorrow for a 2 o'clock game with a wind chill tomorrow afternoon, and then they'll be driving back. They expect to get back to Pittsburgh, driving through the night around 9 a.m. Monday morning.
Wow, that's a weekend.
I've done some of those drives as a stall is called on Brian Hart. Fedorenko picks it up quickly. Reprimand to the end zone, and Aaron Watson is there. That was a huge score for Pittsburgh to avoid the 4-point deficit. I've done some of those overnight bus rides in minor league baseball, and it really wears you down. Delay of game was called, and they are going to bring this one back.
I didn't see what happened here. Did they not tap it in time?
I'm not sure.
So Fedorenko will have the disc. Maybe the spot of the disc was the wrong.
He picked it up after the stall pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Bit of a mind-boggling call from our perspective.
Wow, look at that, so much space.
Push pass to the end zone. Pittsburgh scores anyway. Mike Pannoni.
Great job by Pittsburgh there. That was really, really good D up front to get that original turnover. They had 4 handlers in the backfield there for Madison. Resets were tough, no real good looks upfield. All the break lanes were shut down by the marks. Very impressive D up front.
Push pass might have been hand block a little bit too, but it got there.
Yeah.
Some of those overnight drives, Chuck. You get in at 9 a.m., you sleep a few hours during the day if you're lucky. You go to the ballpark around 5 o'clock, and I can tell you as a broadcaster, by the 4th or 5th inning, my head feels like it's in the clouds. So I'm not facing a 95-mile-an-hour fastball in the batter's box. You can imagine how those guys might be feeling in that situation. How do you think David Hogan is feeling right here?
I think if you're David, I mean, he sees what's in front of him here. He's got a team that will not quit. He's going to have to take it from him. I don't know if they're going to be able to put the foot down against Madison, but they're in a good position, and their D is stepping up. I see Pittsburgh's D getting better as the game goes on. Deep shot goes up.
Looking for Swain, and it's defended beautifully by Delgado, who's had a nice game as a member of Pittsburgh's second-man defensive unit.
Yeah, just an awesome play there. Played it just right on his back, lots of pressure on the receiver, and he goes up big. He goes up and times it perfectly. You don't need to be a big guy to get big Ds, and he shows that.
David Hogan takes his penultimate timeout. We'll take it too. Just over 10 minutes to go here in the 4th quarter. The Thunderbirds trailing the Radicals by 2. David Hogan has put more thought into this game than he has into his green mohawk, I guarantee you. He's watched a ton of film this week, studying both Madison and Minnesota, whom the Thunderbirds play tomorrow. And this Pittsburgh flock looking for a huge statement win. What's it going to take? What's it going to take for Pittsburgh here in the final 10 minutes and change?
They've got to punch it in on the turns. They're getting the disc a fair amount. Their D looks so good. They've had a couple times when they've had the disc, like on that point where Riggles ended up torching them deep, where they just need to calm down on the goal line, move the disc, find the little quick break for the goal, and just take care of it. That offense, that defensive offense, can be very tricky.
Got the O-line. They've got the O-line on the field. DiGirolamo often coming back into that third handler spot, and he's done great damage with the hammers. Back for Saul. I think, you know, as effective as those hammers have been, those are the types of throws that Tim DeBile, the Madison coach, wants to see the Radicals force.
That's absolutely right. As a defensive unit, you give that up. That's how the defense is designed. When that goes up, you certainly are trying to make the play, but you're not making any adjustments. If they're going to beat you with blades to the back of the end zone, so be it.
This is one of 14 games in the AUDL in week 4. Next week we'll be back in Canada, Toronto, and New York. The Empire, surprisingly, are the only undefeated team in the East right now after Toronto's loss last Sunday. Toronto is off this weekend. New York hosting Ottawa tomorrow afternoon. DiGirolamo hammers it crossfield for Brennenborg. And the D comes from the wing, as it so often does. You forget they're there. They lull you to sleep.
It's true. When you force that many passes, you're bound to get an opportunity. There are probably 30, 40 passes there.
Mechanix hauls it in. Schreiwise. To Pettit Scantling. Beautiful touch on that lefty backhand from Bill Everhart, who left the game earlier, but he's returned, picks up the assist, and Madison back up by 3.
Yeah, just a sick dish within the momentum of the play there by Everhart. Love to see those kinds of plays. If you don't change direction, you don't start slowing down, you can immediately throw without setting a pivot foot. And when you do, it really can catch the defense off guard here. Look at this. Just beautiful.
8.5 to go. There's Seth Meyer.
Man, he looks beat up. Got a cut on his forehead, scraped up arm.
He's missed the first couple of games. He's a math professor at St. Norbert College, just outside of Green Bay. One of the most famous alums of St. Norbert College. Legendary horse racing play-by-play man Tom Durkin, who you can think about on a day like this on Derby Day. One of the great set of pipes in broadcasting history.
Always been my professional idol.
Fedorenko won't get there.
Wow, tough angle there. That's kind of downwind, the disc being pushed down a little bit. Looked like a pretty good shot though. Fedorenko had plenty of steps.
This is where Madison can probably smell blood. Mechanix shoots it deep, looking for Meineke, and he can't come down with it. The D there, made by David Vatz.
Yeah, great position by Vatz. He didn't actually get a very good jump on it, but he was in the right place, forced the offensive receiver there to just kind of have to make an awkward catch. He wasn't able to do it. This is exactly the situation we're talking about. Pittsburgh needs to punch it in here. They got the turn, they've got the disc, they got plenty of good looks here and lots of time. They need to score here.
Vatz resets for Saul. Back to Vatz on the near sideline. Madison with a double team on Dulabon. High Scuba, Swain poaches and comes up with a D.
And the double team does what you ask it to do there. It just forces a bad choice.
Whistle blew because a Pittsburgh player was down. This Huck is going to come back. Swain certainly got the disc first here.
Yeah, just a dangerous situation there. Two guys coming in. Looks like he hit him right on the upper thigh there, up on the hip. Hopefully Vatz is all right.
Andrew Brown enters the game for Madison, replacing Everhart. Andrews lets it fly. Mechanix unable to milk it to the end zone, but one more throw to Kevin Brown, and Madison scores. Largest lead of the game for the Radicals. That's how close it's been through 41 minutes and 9 seconds.
This is exactly the rivalry we were hoping it would be. Two fantastic teams. I think the home court advantage is coming into play here a little bit. Madison looks just a little fresher. They slept in their own beds. They didn't get to know the inside of a bus today. And a great throw there by Drews. Just beautiful. Gets it into the wind, drives it upwind, knowing that the wind's going to kind of make it peter out. And just perfect placement for Nashville.
So the Radicals trying to put this game away and improve to 4-0 on the season. This would be their 18th consecutive win at Breeze Stevens Field if Madison can close it out.
That really is incredible.
We'll be back here 13 days from now. Friday night, Showcase Ultimate. Chicago, who lost Brody Smith to a devastating knee injury. We wish Brody all the best. Going in for surgery this coming Thursday. He's battled back from numerous knee injuries the past couple of years. He had trained all offseason, really was feeling as good as he's felt since he was in college. Pittsburgh now running out of gas, but you know, you have Chicago that lost to Indy last night. Brett Matsuka's Wildfire debut did not go as planned. Cameron Brock and Keenan Plew, Travis Carpenter all had big games.
Nothing new for those guys. They really do produce, those three. And Travis Carpenter is turning into one of the most exciting downfield playmakers in the whole league. So fun to watch.
Try-wise, good inside-out flick to Mechanix. Nelson. Oh, Try-wise. Meyer on the doorstep, the Radicals, and Seth Meyer with a beautiful cut, directed by the thrower. Madison now up by 5. Think they can taste it right here?
I think so. You're starting to see the momentum really shift towards Madison. And you're starting to see Pittsburgh slow down a little bit.
See Everhart here, just made the motion with his head. Said go.
Right, you can see the defender not really in position, and the mark doesn't even drop off to help out. You know, just a little moment of just, geez, I don't know.
I'm not sure we talk enough about Madison's team chemistry. I mean, they practice every week. They go hard most Thursday nights. And the chemistry that you build up, the cohesiveness on display right there.
Yeah, I think that's well said. These guys really do, you know, they love playing together. They love hanging out together. A lot of these guys grew up together. And this community really loves this team. You know, a lot of support. Madison's a team, you know, a town and a team that are just very proud, and they come out and they do their best.
Reno back for Trimble.
Nice deer here from Swain, shutting down the swing.
Yeah. You can see that coming. Kevin Brown gets the layout D. Mike Swain should get an asterisk on that D. It was his initial handler defense that forced the tougher throw toward Brown. Madison with a dangerous shot there, and it doesn't pay off. Pittsburgh, though, running out of time.
Yeah, they got to start putting it in the end zone quick.
Now, before today, neither of these teams had trailed for a single second all season. That's still true for the Radicals.
Yeah, very impressive.
Kevin Pettit-Scantling.
Wow. KPS just explodes through the disc there. He just wanted it more, you know, just wanted it more, went all the way through it.
Guy who was really unknown in the Madison Ultimate scene from Racine, Wisconsin. Started playing Ultimate at Barefoot Pickup. Showed up to tryouts, and everyone was like, who's this guy?
He's really pretty incredible, the swing pass and the goal there for Madison. KPS, a guy who's the pride of Racine, kind of the anchor of that Ultimate community, the D. Jones crew down there in Racine. They have little tournaments and little beach Ultimate tournaments and days, and just a lot of love in that community and a lot of connection, and just this guy really loves to play, just loves the sport of Ultimate.
What a scene this is, the sunset in the background, the Radicals fired up on this statement win that seems inevitable now.
Look at that.
The layout D initially from Kevin Brown. Madison gave it back, and then Pettit-Scantling.
Yeah.
Just a different type of athlete.
Yeah, he's moving full speed there and still elevating and getting up at the disc with his weak hand there. A real nice play. And this guy's just going to continue to get better. A lot of these guys that we're seeing here really step up are young guys. They're still learning the game. They're still honing their skills.
KPS, 23 years old. At what age does someone hit their ultimate prime?
Your age, I think. 20, what are you, 29?
For just a couple more months.
Couple more months. Yeah, I think the late 20s are kind of the sweet spot.
So you're saying I still have a chance?
Yeah, I'm saying give Raleigh a call and see if they were serious about that tryout or what. Because you're in your prime, fella. Wow, very physical D there.
Now, the final score of this game might look like Madison was in command the entire way. That's really not the case at all. But down the stretch, Madison has kicked butt in this final quarter.
Yeah, these games are long. I mean, we brought it up before. These are not easy games, especially if you're running a shorter rotation. Guys get tired. This is a huge field. There's not a lot of downtime like in a club tournament where you got calls, you got more time between points. It really wears you out. I remember talking to a guy who's supremely conditioned, Bo Kitchard's on San Jose, and he said he even was really struggling getting through these games when he joined the AUDL.
And he never got tired on a club field, but in the AUDL field, it was tougher, much tougher. Pittsburgh trying to snap a 4-0 Madison run.
Hammers there. Look at this.
Trywise could not close the gap, and he immediately apologizes for the contact on John Diamichis. So Pittsburgh scores for the first time since around the 10.5-minute mark of this quarter.
Yeah, just an incredible stretch here. Here you can see Tyler DiGirolamo drop it in over the top, almost touched by Pat Trywise. That was a little scary. They almost went knee to knee.
Trywise got to be thinking, if I just was Scott Riggle's size, I would have had that.
Yeah, that's about it.
Trywise around 6'2", 5 more inches. I think he makes the play. So the tough challenge that Pittsburgh needs to change its mindset to now is thinking about another long bus ride tonight or tomorrow and getting ready to play Minnesota, a very capable team in the Wildfire, in the Wind Chills home opener. That'll be at 2 o'clock local time tomorrow. DiGirolamo hammers to the end zone, and the Thunderbirds have scored 2 in a row.
Yeah, just when we were ready to close the book on Pittsburgh, they they scored twice here. Still enough time. The trip up to Minnesota will be interesting, though. The Wind Chill are one of the teams that has given Madison's zone the best test I've ever seen. They throw over the top very well. A lot of exciting playmakers on the Wind Chill. And, you know, they're pulling players from some of the best club teams in the world. Multiple-time co-ed national champs. Got all kinds of good college programs. Minnesota, Carleton, all sending players their way. They're a team that you really don't want to come in tired or expecting to roll. I don't think Pittsburgh will, but it should be an interesting game.
Talk about college dynasties. For the first time in a very long time, University of Wisconsin did not win their regional championship. They qualified for nationals, but University of Minnesota upset the Hodags in the finals of the North Central region.
Yeah, nice win for Minnesota.
See if that translates into the AUDL. Maybe the Wind Chill will gain some ground on the back of Gray Duck. That's just very smooth offense. Bruce to Mechanix for the Radicals. If you've never seen a game here at Breeze Stevens Field, It really is a tremendous home field advantage, and they do a lot of things for their fans. If you go to the concession stands, you're hungry, you can get meatballs on a stick. If you're looking for some dessert, you should try the bacon-flavored gelato.
Do what now? Bacon-flavored gelato. That sounds pretty
Why
good.
not?
I'm in.
Little nightcap.
Sweet and savory, why choose? Bacon-flavored gelato, ladies and gentlemen.
Would you be excited to try that, or a little hesitant to try that?
I'd be nervous. You know, I'd be nervous. There's
I know someone. I bet you we could get you a sample.
Yeah, you know, cholesterol, high cholesterol runs in my family. It's just something I want to talk to my doctor about real quick.
DiGirolamo, why not one more hammer? Schreiwise in the area, and he does just enough to prevent Beardsley from coming down with the disc. I think Beardsley got his fingers on it first.
Yeah. That would have been pretty sick. And you got, I mean, I like the look. Beardsley's 6'5", might as well drop it in there.
We're in the final minute here in the fourth. We're going to look back on the final minute in the third as the turning point in this game. Pittsburgh trying to tie it. 16 all, couldn't do it. Dulabon had a disc bounce off his hands in the end zone, a throw that was behind him. And Madison immediately countered to Riggles to go up by 2, and then very end of the quarter, it was Weber who made that catch on Mechanix's shot. And Madison again on cruise control. 24-18.
Yeah, their offense is really fun to watch. They keep it moving, keep it within flow. Quick look open, then immediately look for the break, resets, quick breaks. Just they do everything well, and they stay within the momentum of the offense. They don't stop, they don't interrupt flow, and that's so important. Offense is so much about taking what they give you, keeping it moving, keeping the flow so that downfield cutters know what to go, where to go, and when. Once the disc stops moving as a downfield cutter, it becomes very hard to know when to make your cut, what side of the field to attack, and Madison makes it easy for them.
So the Radicals are going to improve to 4-0. The Thunderbirds going to suffer their first ever loss in the AUDL. Tim DeBile really created a great program, a great culture in this community. Got a lot of local sponsors. The team's got a lot of local support. Schreiwise makes the grab, comes down with a D, and this ball game is over. Radicals win it by 6 until the last 10 seconds of the third quarter. It was basically a 2-score game the entire way, but the Radicals put it away late.
Yeah, Madison looked very confident. It's what we've seen a couple times here. They've had some close games against Chicago, against Minnesota, where the last few minutes they just pull away. They say this is Breeze Stevens and we don't lose here. And they did it again to Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh is a very good team who came to play tonight. Hats off to the Radicals.
Again, the final 24-18. We'll take a quick timeout, return with some final thoughts as the Radicals win their 18th consecutive game here at Breeze Stevens Field in Madison.
Find gas station.
Playing Jazz Station.
Hi, gas?
Cat migration.
No, I don't want a full tank Frank. How do I get gas?
When you travel, new doesn't always mean improved, except for Motel 6's new improved website. In just a few clicks, book a room for the lowest price of any national chain based on price or location. It's new and actually improved. I'm Tom Bodette, and we'll leave the light on for you.
If you want to follow the AUDL on your phone, now you can. Download the brand new AUDL app on your mobile device and get up-to-the-minute news on your favorite Pro Ultimate team. This is your new home for live scoring, up-to-date standings, game recaps, highlight videos, and more. It's the new best way to follow Ultimate at the highest level. Don't miss any of the thrilling hucks, towering skies, or monstrous layout Ds. Check out the free AUDL app today.
The fans are relieved and heading home happy tonight. You might not be heading home just yet. There's a lot of good sports to be seen across the country this evening, but the Radicals take this one 24-18. Welcome back to our broadcast booth, everybody. Evan Lepler, Chuck Kindred. It's been an eventful night here in Madison. We had a blown transformer. It sounded like a clap of thunder, but there was no storm to follow. It was intense. It knocked power up, but credit to everybody here. They got it going. And this was a really great game, closer than the final score indicated.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. This was absolutely being contested to the last quarter. I thought Pittsburgh played great. They came into a field they've never played here. They don't know these guys that well, and they're playing one of the top teams in the entire league. And they brought it to them. I was very impressed with their athletic D. They had no problem containing the mark, not letting these guys slice and dice on offense. I think they have a lot to be proud of, and they're a team that if I were Madison, I'd have my eye on the Thunderbirds going forward.
And when these teams meet again, it's going to be a different game if Colin Camp is healthy, if Peter Graffi is available for Madison. And from the Pittsburgh side, we've got Alex Thorne, one of the most dynamic handlers in the game. Pat Earls, Marcus Ranai Dropcho, guys currently in pursuit of a national title at the college ranks, but they expect to join the Thunderbirds later this year. Let's jump into the final highlights as we wrap up this 24-18 win as the Radicals get their 18th consecutive home win. And really the defense down the stretch helped Madison put it away.
It's true. They were putting a lot of pressure. You can see Meineke coming through and getting that layout block. Mike Swain going up in the air and D'ing that Scuba. Here's another layout D on a careless under. And that was against the zone. That was probably throw 35 or 40. And finally Madison comes through to get the D. A collision in the back of the end zone there. One thing that was definitely working were the hammers to the end zone for Pittsburgh. We saw one there. And this huge layout from Kevin Brown. Nice team D on the resets from Mike Swain, Kevin Brown, and the whole gang.
And here's Kevin Pettit-Scantling. Plays like that basically put it away. Just more energy in the tank for Madison. And the Radicals prevail 24-18. Pat Schreiwise here with a final D of the game. Next week we will be in Toronto, the Empire and the Rush. Opening poll scheduled for 7 o'clock. But for tonight, on behalf of our entire Fulcrum Media team, for Chuck Kindred, I'm Evan Lepler saying good night from Madison, where the Radicals win again, like they usually do here at home. Have a great night, everybody. We'll talk to you next week from Toronto as our season-long coverage of the AUDL on ESPN3 continues. So long, everybody.